the GLSA Marketing and Communications Manager, Andy Pappas, will talk about the marketing of life-saving as an Olympic sport.
Hello, my name is Andy Pappas. First of all, thank you, Stathis Abramidis, for inviting me to speak today. I'd like to also thank the Secretary General of the International Federation of Lifesaving, Harold. Thank you for a very good talk and an introduction to me and who I am, as well as you, John Martin. Thank you for introducing who I am and where I'm from. So, well, I'll tell you, I'm an Australian-born Greek immigrant. My parents arrived in Melbourne in 1955. So we were there for the Olympics. We were there for the first life-saving event. So it was only a matter of time that I'd become involved in life-saving. I've been a physiotherapist for 38 years. I'm a recent graduate of the International Olympic Academy here in Greece. And I'm also the holder of the bronze medallion in surf life-saving from Australia, from the Pambula Surf Life-Saving Club south of Sydney. Because in Sydney, I come from probably the oldest in the world surf life-saving club called Bondi Beach Surf Life-Saving Club. And as Harold and Mr. Martin said, the importance of life-saving as a sport, we have to sell it, okay? And I'll say the good news and the bad news about my talk is the good news, I'm the last speaker, okay? So you'll be listening contentedly, and that's good. The bad news is we need to sell ourselves, my friends, okay? My parents have been selling themselves since 1955 in Australia as immigrants, grabbing jobs wherever they could. So I started with this slide, and maybe I should say g'day, because that's what we say in Australia. We don't say good morning, yasu, we say g'day. Here is a very important topic, the marketing of life-saving as a sport. Sure, but this slide lacks colour, no action, okay? Marketing, very poor. It's boring. If we go to the next slide, do I press the button? Great. Colour, sport, action. Okay, I assume you've heard the saying that a first impression counts. Okay, it's also important in marketing because first impressions in marketing is essential, and that's why I commend people like Professor Avramidis, Harold and Martin, and all the people who are part of the International Life-Saving Association, because they understand that they have to sell themselves, they have to actually promote themselves. Okay, and as I say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Okay, so let's get out there and let's make some waves. If we go to the next slide, I just want to give you a little bit of introduction to marketing and advertising. As I said, I'm not a specialist in marketing, but I've been selling myself, my profession, everything that I've been involved in, and that's marketing. Advertising is just a part of marketing. What we need a strategy, a big marketing strategy to get life-saving as a sport, as an Olympic event. For God's sake, it has 4 events in it, which are core events. It has a board, okay, surfing. It has a kayak. It has swimming, okay. It has running, and we're humanitarian. For God's sake, we should be there first. Not 29th. Definitions of marketing, you can find them anywhere. The specialists in marketing, whether you like it or not, are the Americans. The American Marketing Association says this: you need to present yourself, you need to actually deliver and communicate message that we want to put to the IOC. And that is, in 1956, you had the chance in Melbourne, in 2032 in Brisbane, with lots of waves and lots of action, our event will be the best event on the calendar of the Olympic events of Brisbane 2032. Sports marketing, that's a little bit different, because now we're going to associate our sport, life-saving, with a product or a service. One of the most successful Australian advertising campaigns for Lifesaving was Nutrigrain. Nutrigrain was sponsoring the Ironman events, as Harold mentioned, and as John Martin mentioned. It became part of our life. You know, as a young kid, I was eating Nutrigrain. I didn't even like the stuff. But I wanted to become a lifesaver like them. Okay? I wanted to be physically like them. I'm not like that now, but I'm working on it. We have a brand. It's called Lifesaving as a sport and as a humanitarian event. We have another brand. It's called the Olympic Games. We need to marry those two together so well that we weld it and it becomes permanent. As you can see, the diagram or the image on the left is something. All of you, if I asked you, what is that object on the left, with no names, no labels, everybody knows it's a Coca-Cola soft drink bottle, correct? Yes. The one on the right, whether you like to eat there or not, okay, is one of the world's largest landowners on the globe. McDonald's family restaurants. The creators of Big Mac.
I thought it was the M-shaped
evolution.
Not exactly. Not exactly.
It's the ocean head, not the ocean Big Mac.
And the logo in the middle, and thank you for the opportunity to use this logo, because obviously as a member of the International Olympic Academies, as a master's graduate, I'm proud to be a part of the family of the Olympics. This is a brand that everyone recognises around the world. This is the brand we have to associate with. This is the brand that we have to marry our sport with. I'm not going to go into what is a sport because my previous speaker, Dimitris, my colleague, was quite eloquent in explaining to you what a sport is. The main thing I'm going to point out as a physiotherapist is that it's physical exertion. Keep that in mind when I go to the next slides. Have a look at these two photos. On the left, we have a photo of 3 people, female, male, and a young athlete, lifesavers, all of them. On the right, we have a gentleman there playing a game. That is not a sport. A sport is on the left, not the right. Do you agree? Yes, I think so. Okay, this was mentioned before. WHO, the organisation, the World Health Organisation, I think it was Harold that mentioned it. Okay, so they define physical activity as a bodily movement that requires skeletal muscles. What you're currently using and sitting in your chair is not skeletal muscle. Okay, the amount of activity, the amount of calories you are burning by sitting is very little. So when we look at physical activities, we have to put things like walking, cycling, swimming, life-saving, okay? What else can we get out of it that says the World Health Organization is paramount when you're doing these activities? What benefits do you get? You get physical benefits. You get longer life, less health problems, diseases, stroke, etc. What do you get with the previous slide? With your feet up on a bench, pressing 2 buttons and staring at a console. I'll show you what you get. This is what you get. You get sedentary lifestyle. That's what's on the right. Here he is. This chap here. Yeah, everything's perfectly organised. A lot of technology, as Dimitri said. So, you know, what is he actually doing? Maybe he's blinking his eyes. We could call that a movement. And we can also call his finger movement. This, my friends, is our competitor. This is our competitor to get into the next Olympic Games, believe it or not. Believe it or not. On the left, obviously, it's my Australian friends there, and they're competing. Their arms and legs are going at 100 miles an hour. They have to compete with, as Harold said, 1, 2, 3, 4 metre swells, waves, know how to compete with a wave, read the tide, read the rips, and more importantly, Get out there as soon as you bloody can so you can save that guy or that woman. Life-saving sport, again, it's been mentioned before, so I won't go through all the different activities they do. I want to save some time because I want to push the point and sell this particular talk, and that is marketing life-saving as an Olympic sport. We have to keep saying it, we have to have it in our minds all the time. Life-saving, as Dimitri said, is definitely a sport. It's an Olympic sport, it involves physical activity. Let me mention Professor Jim Parry, a lecturer at the International Olympic Academy, one of our lecturers, okay, a super professor in philosophy and particular sports philosophy. He wrote an article on Olympic sport, and one particular article that he wrote about whether an Olympic sport is an Olympic sport or whether it's actually a sport of any kind was esports. And it's called esports is not a sport. And if you read in his article, he says this in the concluding argument. Esports are not sports. This is something I want the IOC to hear. Esports are not sports because they are inadequately human. They lack direct physicality. They fail to employ decisive whole body control and whole body skills and cannot contribute, this is the educational pedagogy, to the development of the whole human. And because their patents of creations, production, ownership and promotion place serious constraints on the emergence of the kind of stable and persisting institutions characterised of sports governance, mentioned again before by Dimitri. No more? No. Again, thank you, Dimitri, for introducing this particular slide. You said it before, okay? We need to know our competitors. I mentioned our main competitor, esports. Do you know we have this great sport happening in France called breakdancing? On a piece of cardboard, isn't it? In the back streets of New York? Is that where it started? Maybe. We have our sport. So we need to work with the competitors that are currently in the games and the ones that are trying to get in the games. We have to compete on both levels. So we have to know our competitors well. We have to build on our strengths. What's one of our strengths? Well, this particular series. Baywatch, the TV series, created by Greg Bonin, ran for 11 years, was seen in 144 countries. How many countries do we have in the International Federation? 174, approximately.
Organizations.
So that back then, this is a long time ago. 144 countries bought the rights, 15 languages. It became the most watched television series around the world with a weekly audience of 1.1 billion viewers. Who? Lifesaving. Not esports, not breakdancing. This is what we need to promote. Minimise our weaknesses. Yeah, we have weaknesses. You know what? Because we're a non-profit. We're a non-reward, as he said. We do it for free. Lifesavers in particular don't get paid. Lifeguards, yes, they get paid. But we need so many lifesavers that the only thing we can offer them is a weekend barbecue at the Bondi Surf Gliding Cup. Bring along their children so they can actually become a family event. Give them an opportunity to save a life, which for me is worth millions more than the competitive money that an esports participant can gain at a particular event. So, our competitor, esports, $1 billion industry. These companies that make these games, money talks, my friend. And when money talks, you've seen it before in the media. We have the Qatar gate. We have a number of things happening, okay? So money talks. What I want is the IOC to listen to us and to understand that we're a humanitarian sport, the one and only, and that's why we should be included in the games, not because we have a lot of money. Not that I'm saying that the IOC looks at that only, okay? But we have a lot of history of money being put in areas where they shouldn't be put, and it's in the papers for you to read. I don't have to tell you. They have millions of players around the globe. Yes, they do. You know why? Because they can play it from their living room, from the privacy of their bed. That's their physical activity. That's their sport. I told you how active the actual Lifesaver is, and I think the previous speakers spoke about how physically fit they need to be. Well, an article that was written back in 2022, and this was actually written in the Journal of Sports and Health Sciences, called Esports Players, Got Muscle? Question mark. This is the graphic of that particular paper. What we have is the body composition of an e-sport player compared to a non-e-sport player. The e-sport player has 26% more body fat. They have 70% visceral fat, super more dangerous than body fat. They have 15% lean body mass, and they have 10% less bone mineral content. What does that mean? Osteopenia, osteoporosis, future fractures, and more attendances at our hospitals which aren't able to cope at the moment anywhere in the world. That's the benefit of our competitor. Now I've told you what the benefit of our sport is. The life-saving strengths, of course, yeah, we rescue, we resuscitate, we provide first aid, as John said for us. First we provide first aid, and then it's a sport. Water safety, aquatic rescue. Obviously there's speed involved, there's teamwork involved, that's why it's a sport. We involve the whole families. In Australia we have the Nippers program. Okay, I was part of the Nippers. You know what that is? That's, 4 years of age, grab a hat, Saturday, Sunday, down at Bondi Beach. You're going to learn to swim, you're going to learn to save lives, and you're going to have a hot dog or a sausage at the end of the day and some fruit. That was weekends for us. That's why it's a number 2 sport. Because it's become part of our life in Australia. Because we're a nation surrounded by ocean. We're not surrounded by lakes and seas. Ocean. We have to battle waves, sharks. There are our weaknesses. We don't have enough volunteers. We need to get more numbers up. We need to get our club memberships up because they're declining. Why are they declining? Because COVID, the internet, all of that didn't help. Kept people indoors. So it wasn't good for us. We couldn't get enough people down to the beach. Our beaches were closed. Okay? We're not a multi-billion dollar business. I wish we would, because we could do a lot more. But we're not. We're there just to save lives. Okay? So we need to actually ask some questions. What are the questions we need to ask? 1, do we believe the value of saving a life is more important or has more value than winning a competition in esports, either an event or from the comfort of your living room? Do we need to have guerrilla marketing? What's guerrilla marketing? I'll tell you what guerrilla marketing is. It's basically doing things that are unconventional, that delight, surprise, and attract customers and clients. That's why it's important for what Harold said, that we need to have the event in Brisbane with our waves to make it action-filled, popular, attractive, so that it becomes an event for every Olympics after that. We need to promote the arete, the excellence of the human body, female, male, and everything in between. Because our lifesavers are just that. They are specimens, the best specimens of human body, and not only that, they save lives. So what do we need to do? Promote the strengths of lifesaving and why it should be included in the Olympic Games. It needs to be on the tip of your tongue. It needs to be on your lapel. It needs to be on your forehead, imprinted. Every time you talk and walk, you need to talk and walk lifesaving as an Olympic sport. Because it's the only humanitarian sport that'll be in the Olympic Games, because we have to be positive, and at least in Brisbane in 2032, hopefully I'll be there, we'll have that as our event. Thank you for your attention.